Hey everybody, Andrew Zimmern here. It is that day of the week again, although it's a little different. Usually we do our Ask Me Anythings on Friday. You're seeing this hopefully today, Monday, that we're putting it out. It's been a crazy couple of weeks going from Cayman Cookout to Park City. I'm coming to you, as live as I can be. From the Blue Sky Lodge, an auberge hotel's property about a half hour outside of Park City. And if you love Utah and you get to this part of the world, want to be in the mountains, winter, spring, summer, fall, does not matter what. I cannot stress enough how beautiful Blue Sky Lodge is. No affiliation, not a, this was just the hotel that I stayed in, and I had never been here before. It's very new, and it's just a mind boggler. You have to come. Incredible hospitality, incredible service. Several different sets of rooms all over this valley. A couple of condo, hotel, house type situations down on the river. I'm in a suite of rooms called Earth that are all built into the side of the rock with these giant, one end of my room is a window just looking at mountains, just absolutely staggering. Anyway, you need to check this out. We'll get to the questions in just a second. Wanted to update you on a couple things. First of all, if you're not a subscriber, please become one. Please share this with friends. I encourage you all to become paid subscribers. It does help keep the lights on. And I thought I would update you. There are lots of questions that came to me over the last couple days about Cayman Cookout and what I'm doing here at Sundance. So I wanted to get to those first and foremost, just a general collection of questions with less specificity than a lot of the typical ones, but so many people were asking. I've gone to the Cayman Cookout for years and years. It's a 4-day food and wine festival put on by the Ritz-Carlton on Grand Cayman along with the creator and host of the event, Eric Repair. He has a restaurant called Blue in the hotel that's probably the best restaurant in the Caribbean. And they sell 600-700 tickets to this thing, half of which are room packages. You actually stay on the property where the event takes place. And I know I'm going to miss some people, but I've posted pictures in my stories and stuff like that. But Tom Colicchio, Danielle Ballud, Kristen Kish, myself, Jose Andres. I knew that this would happen. Dominique Kren, Adrian Cheatham, Jennifer Carroll. I know I'm missing. So this is what sucks about this. Anyway, an all-star list of incredible chefs, plus an all-star list of local chefs, plus an all-star list of the best Ritz-Carlton chefs in the world that all fly in for it. And we all kind of make magic for a whole bunch of days. And it is just a remarkable time. And January is a great time to be in the Caribbean. So come and join us next year. Now, Jeffrey had a question about my Cayman Cookout experience. And he writes, I saw a video of Jose Andres shaving you on the beach. He says, what were you doing in Grand Cayman? I was at the food festival. But over the years, whole bunches of us, try to squeeze in an extra day before or after. And some of us are friends. Some of us are very close friends. And so after a day out on the boat, Jose and his family, they were really into scuba diving. So we went out, spent a day together. And then on the way, when we got back, Jose was upset that I had my, rabbinical beard thing going, and he keeps it very high and tight. But he just went and sat me in a chair, went down and into his room and grabbed his electric shaver and shaved me. And yeah, it's on my Instagram, and it's a pretty funny video, and you should check it out. It's nice when you have friends that like to groom you. He's an excellent barber, by the way. If the whole Nobel Peace Prize nomination, which he's going to win over the next year or two. Let's just be honest with each other. 40 restaurants around the world, Jose Empire, TV shows, World Central Kitchen. If none of that pans out, he can always set up a barber chair and take care of men's tonsorial needs. Anyway, fantastic food event. You got to come. And I think this week I'll finally get around to posting pictures of the gala dinner, which was maybe one of the best meals I've had in a long time. Dinners where chefs come together and all do a dish and someone matches wines to them, they're all great, but some are truly special. The problem with getting them to be truly special is that the person choosing wines hasn't eaten all the food. The chefs haven't all cooked together before. The restaurant isn't used to doing those this was a magical experience. The menu was the best of its kind I've experienced in a long time for a chef's collaboration dinner. Aldo Sam did the wine pairings, in some cases pairing multiple wines with each course, so you could have different experiences with the wine and food. And I was just absolutely gobsmacked at how fantastic it all worked out. So I've got that to sort of put out there as a little series. So anyway, enough. Cayman Cookout, Ritz-Carlton, Eric Repair. Be there next January. It's absolutely awesome. Lucille asks, when are you going to publish a cookbook? I'm working on it right now. And then to address the general vibe of Sundance, I've come out to Sundance before with friends who had an extra ticket or something like that and done the fun stuff, parties, go to a movie or two, have some dinners, head home. But this year, Intuitive Content, which is our production company, was debuting a series of clips and presenting a day of conversation around our 4-hour doc series called Hope in the Water. Hope in the Water is a series about protecting and saving our oceans through the innovations of the people who are actually working in and on the water, rather than the pipe dream of just quote unquote leaving it alone. That's an impossibility. 3 billion people around the world, seafood's their main source of protein. 1 billion people around the world work in the seafood industry. You can't just shut it off. That's it would, let's say we could, it's just an impossibility. So what we have to do, because we have to save our oceans and waterways, lakes and streams and rivers within the next 5 to 10 years. This is not a 2050 goal. We need to have a 2033 goal, because we're not going to be able to save our planet. It is existential if we don't get into action about it. And so rather than these doom and gloom documentaries, we are creating a documentary about all the innovations that people are doing that will solve our problems today. Easy example that I'm sure you've probably all heard of is, people who are creating oyster and mussel farms. These are filter feeders. They process tens of thousands of gallons a day, each animal. They clean the water. They lower the acidity level of the water. Growing seaweed at seaweed farms sequesters tons of carbon that we actually need to prevent from entering into the atmosphere. And every meal that you take that's a blue food is one less meal we take from a factory farm. What are blue foods? Well, I encourage you to go to Fed by Blue. Let me check that out here. It's fedbyblue.com. But hold on. Anyway, it's an incredible, fedbyblue.org. Go there, read all of it. Some extremely brilliant women who are business partners of mine, inspirations of mine, heroes of mine, created Fed by Blue. I do a lot of work with them, for them, and I couldn't be associated with a finer group of people. And we're trying to push sustainable seafood eating forward as a way to feed a hungry planet that is got a broken food system. And we believe that it is through Blue Foods that we have one of 8 or 9 solutions sufficient to correct and adjust that food system so that we can have food for everyone, and that eating well is not a class issue in America. So that's what I was doing at Sundance. I should post, at some point I'm going to post some short videos from the doc series itself. We screened it here, and there'll be more to come. And I'm so proud of the whole team at Intuitive Content and their bold leader, Patrick Weiland, for creating such an incredible product. And I couldn't be more proud of the work that we're doing on that. So that's why I was at Sundance. Fun things that I got to do. Yes, I went to a lot of parties where you're kind of squeezing through people and eating too many of the same kind of hors d'oeuvres. If I see another charcuterie board or shucked oyster, 2 things I love, but that's basically what I've lived on for 4 days. But I did see Matthew Ritz and Jason Momoa's doc, Deep Rising. And I saw it got a lot of negative reviews. I thought it was a very, very well done piece of reportage. It is, at the end of the day, with certain types of media, I believe that we should leave that piece of media looking at ourselves in the mirror and saying, I did not know that. They actually had a lot of I did not know that moments in there. And I don't want to ruin it for you, but it's an epistle on why we should not be supporting any extraction drilling under the ocean or above it. We've reached the point in our world where some of these precious metals that we're using and destroying planet Earth to get to are not necessary. They're just supporting the greed of some very large companies. And greed was kind of the theme of a lot of the stuff that I saw. Greed is what is killing the restaurant industry in many ways. Greed, I remember reading about the history of Alcoholics Anonymous, and everyone knows I'm very publicly sober. My sober birthday is coming up at the end of this month. It'll be 32 years, which is freakish. But when John D. Rockefeller famously met with the founders of Alcoholics Anonymous, he said his one word of advice to them was to make it free because money will kill anything. It actually referred to, he said, money will kill this thing. But he was, one of the most famous capitalists in the world. But he knew the dangers of greed. And I've seen it everywhere, and I'm going to make it the subject of part of my Substack writing this week at some point. But I'm too filled with what I think are the right kind of ideas. And I'll just give you one little snippet. If we want a restaurant model that provides, let's say, 30% profit to the people that own it, then it has to be different than the one that you or I are thinking of when I say the word restaurant, and the first image that pops into our head is that. That's not a restaurant that brings 30% to the bottom line. And if it does, it's extremely rare. It's a white swan. And I encourage everyone to read the Sunday New York Times piece that Vivian Howard wrote just yesterday that sort of talks about a different kind of model for a restaurant. She's reopening her famous restaurant in Kinston, North Carolina, but she's only opening 4 days a week. I think she's going to be open for like 12 hours a day straight, 4 days a week. The other 3 days, she's going to be making food that's on her menu, but putting it in heat and eat trays that you can buy from Viv's Fridge, which is her mobile food vending machines that she's putting up all around North Carolina. And so she's able to make money without having the burdens of, in a restaurant, you have to have cooks and waiters and, hosts and bartenders and everyone. So, but if you can take a lot of that food and be selling it at another time, you're ringing the cash register more often and it's increasing your bottom line expenditure. And for her, it's not about personal economic success. It's about being able to pay her workers a fair wage and provide health insurance and all the right things that we should be doing for our industry. So it's very, very fascinating. Does she want to make a living doing it? Of course, she has a family, she has kids, right? But the end game wasn't developed in a corporate boardroom where there has to be a check event for X number of millions of dollars X number of years from now. She's getting back to restaurateuring the way it was when I was young and what attracted me to this business, which was how I felt when I fed people, right? There's designing food businesses around financial success can be part of a set of goals, but should not be the sole goal, right? When it becomes the sole goal, you sacrifice everything at the altar of the dollar and you wind up with some of the situations we have today where we are subsidizing cheap food that's unhealthy for you, but healthy food that's good for you has been labeled specialty food by the government, food fit for human consumption, and gets no subsidies. So those prices are right. If you want to eat well, it's become a class issue in America. And so it is a real vicious circle that we have created. But I believe the system we have in our country, the capitalist system that we've developed, can also be its salvation when it's done the right way. If we remake different business models for our industry, I think we'll be more successful and have a greater run. The problem that we have right now is that everyone stays with the open for lunch, open for dinner, 7 days a week, and you try to take care of your employees and all the rest of that. You will have to charge so much for what's on the food. I don't think you'll have customers. That is part of the reality of the restaurant world in America today, is figuring out, a lot of places are closing, and figure out what those models are. We've seen some really innovative solutions from what Vivian Howard talked about. Mike Solomonov's Laser Wolf is, everyone orders your main protein and then you all share this big plate of vegetable salad. Helps keep costs down, helps keep labor costs down. He's figured out a different model, right? A twist on it that I think is going to be very, very successful for him and his partners. So it's possible, and that's a super fun restaurant that I love going to. Anyway, I've talked for long enough. Goodbye from snowy Utah. See you next week from beautiful and chilly Minneapolis, Minnesota. I'm going to spend the week at home at the office, and then I'm off first to North Carolina for the Triangle Wine and Food Festival in support of the Frankie Lemon School that Ashley Christensen and Kate Golan have created. One of my favorite events of the year, and it supports an incredible school. And then I fly out to Beaver Creek for their wine and food festival where I'm cooking on Saturday. So if you're in North Carolina or Colorado next weekend, come say hi. Otherwise, I'll see you next week. Everybody have a wonderful, stay awesome. Just stay awesome.